Good morning, quackers. It's now time to get back to work. And I am already ready to get back to work and stuff. So I switched to monitor mode. Last night, we went on ahead and did pre-poses for this and got all of this scene done. And we just pre-did this entire scene, so it's ready to go. So I'm going to close that. And we've got some other scenes where we know we have her involved, and I think it's 12 and 13. We've got to redo this shot, but that's not going to help us any. Hello, Brent. I know I have no idea why. All right. So we got a couple of shots here that we can use real quick. So we can do this. We can just kind of back up to here. Good morning. All right. I don't know what it is with me. I don't know. It's a thing. It's a phase. I'm going through a phase, Brent. A phase that says that I say Brent. I don't know what my problem is. Yeah. Well, add background music because somebody's gonna call it something that is theirs anyway. So I might as well turn it on. At least have the music. I'm gonna have to protest anyway. Okay, so last night, what I did was set up these pre-poses. So there we go. Makes it easy, except that our eyes are screwed up. We'll fix that. And I don't know how long it's going to take before I have to put it in the background. But for at least right now, I'm going to do this. Are we protesting? Okay, bonus controls. Okay. This is going to be kind of cool because I can actually do with her holding the control console or control widgets. Let's see what would be a good angle. This would be a good angle. So I can just take this guy, even though and then just not put him in here. And you know what? I really need a new camera for this because you can't actually adjust the perspective camera at all. So I can't get a better angle on this. Which means that I can't actually do something. 35mm is the classic Yeah. What happened to bend? How did I manage to lose bend on this? Weird. Where did bend go? Like, there's no bend control anymore. I can still bend the object, but I have to do it manually like this. I think we've gone bonkers again. South Carolina? North Carolina? South Carolina? Somewhere. Hanging out in the South? He'll be back someday. And this is okay. So reading the dialogue here, I feel like she is much more confused. Well, I think when we talk about on his way, I get the feeling they're like in a car. You know what I mean? So like 1, 2, 3. Hello, Joan. St. Louis on Friday or whatever? Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I feel like he was in a car or something. I don't know. Let me work here. So I'm going to give some room because she is techno-babbling. She has a lot of techno-babble right here. So this is one of those where, I mean, she says, I didn't think so. It's almost like we jumped a point care translation. We dropped an entire Minkowski frame, right? So it's like all of a sudden she's techno-babble girl. So like there's a lot of techno-babble stuff going on. So I want to give some room in here for the horrible techno-babble that's in here. Not horrible techno-babble. That's a misquote or a misread, I guess. It's not horrible techno-babble. It's important. It's important because some of that actually makes sense. And then she says, I promise I didn't mess up. So we're going to get close. But she's now concerned, worried, whatever. All right, so we're going to bring our eyebrows up. And you're sort of concerned. Because she's now worried because she's a newbie, right? So this is her first time in charge of a starship sort of thing, and they have hit a bump of some sort. There you go, Joan. Give her support. Actually, it's not her fault at all. That's part of the plot of the episode. And Gunny in the back seat supports her. right? Because then we're on page 15. So 15, this is 15.2. So Gunny back here says, Gravitics, I can confirm something isn't right. I double-checked her numbers. So that's what, I even had Sergeant Pan check them. And that's where Gunny comes in and says, Gravitics, I can confirm something isn't right. Because then he says, I can't see the beacon. And that's where the captain says, sometimes these older systems don't have beacons that you can see until you're in the blender. Again, we're using more of the kind of chatter. So more techno babble here. I have to be more careful though. So here's the thing. She's in uniform, and maybe this is a bad choice because it's hard to tell which character is talking. So I think I need to make sure she's always in profile, right? Because this way, okay, so we'll do that. And let's move her eye target. So she's looking over here, kind of like she's unsure. We don't want her to look at the camera directly because that always looks creepy. We can do that. Like when she's talking, you're looking at her and she's piloting the ship. And she's like, well, I promise I did it right, sort of thing like this. She's looking down to the side like when you have a conversation with people that you aren't looking directly at, like on the phone, people tend to look in weird directions. So you can have her looking down like this, maybe even like so. And tilt her head in, maybe. I'm not worried about her eyeball popping out the side there. Ooh, that didn't look good. Right, but we can move the camera back like this and tilt in sort of like this and give her a profile view. So this also gives us a good illustration of her tattoos on her face. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll save it. Yep. We're going to replace it. Don't save that. We'll just open recent because it's the same one, except different. Copy. Paste. There we go. So my original sketches showed that I wanted to show her in profile, and now I remember why. We're putting her in profile so that she doesn't match as well with this. We have a different background going on back here and things like that, but most of the time the captain is facing forward and she's to profile, so that whenever we have them talking to each other, you can tell who's who. It's hard to tell because Mayrell's hair is actually also dark, and of course the captain's hair is black. So we've got to make sure that we kind of get that coordinated. There's a couple of differences obviously between the two characters. Captain has freckles and Mayrell has her tattoos, her family tattoos on her face. So all right. Okay, so we'll go ahead and save this guy. She'll get there. She'll get there. Right? So there's a really funny, interesting story about Tamerlan and the Bechdel test. If you talk about the flag that I fly, the hill that I'll die on, it's feminism. That's my core concept, hill that I'll die on, yada yada yada. So I started writing. I wanted to write a Star Trek comic. This is 2002, right? So it's 2002. I'm thinking I'm going to write a Star Trek fan comic because I don't see many fan comics out there because this was 2002, and what about that, right? The internet was still relatively new, and so I went on ahead and started building up the story, and my thought was I'm going to just gender flip TOS. Kirk, Spock, McCoy. I'm just going to gender flip them, and so I did, and some part of me was like, wow, it's all women and one man. That's really weird. And I was talking to my mom at the time. I was like, this is really interestingly strange, like oddly uncomfortable. And she's like, isn't it? With like the arched eyebrow thing going. And I was like, it is. And I was like, that's an interesting statement about our society. And I ultimately chickened out on that one, which I thought was silly, and I shouldn't have done that. I ultimately chickened out and did a 50-50 crew rotation, so only the main characters were female and the rest of the characters were male. And now, but I was young and I was stupid and whatever. Now I look at Strange New Worlds, and I have noticed that they did exactly what I did. They did it. I mean, they just pulled it off. They just said, screw it, we're going for it. And I'm like, see, I should have done that. I should have. And now I look back and I'm like, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have backed down. I shouldn't have. It really was kind of, what was I thinking? Sort of thing. So that's my Bechdel test story. Because we didn't know the Bechdel test at the time. We didn't know what it was in 2002. But then once I learned about it, I was like, I already passed. Yeah. I even passed there's a modified version of it. I can't remember, but it's more stringent. And it was like, I even passed that. I was pretty happy. Like, yeah, don't think I won't. That is definitely things. I'm going to put it back down. Because now she's inserted. Yeah, and I appreciate that. Thank you. However, now looking at it, I'm like, I'm 50 and screw it. It really does. And that was what my mom was kind of saying at the time was, so we had both just read Malcolm Gladwell's Blink, which is a wonderful book. I think I've got it over here. I'll fetch it real quick. This is an excellent book, Malcolm Gladwell's Blink. It is, there we go. There we go. And there we go, Malcolm Gladwell, Blink. And it's kind of hard because my camera doesn't want to focus on it. But I think you can at least read what's going on. What this is about is snap judgments. This is about how we humans make snap judgments on things based on entire reams of data. And some of the most fascinating things are in this book. Because what it's really about is like how we make assumptions based on color, based on gender, based on And one of the things that was fascinating in here is he told the story of the Chicago Orchestra. I don't remember who it was. Chicago Orchestra, some orchestra, a big orchestra, like not some little town orchestra, but like a big orchestra. In the, I want to say the 90s, they were trying to diversify because their entire orchestra was white men. And they knew they needed to diversify, but the problem was everybody they auditioned wasn't good enough for the parts. And they were like, well, we want to diversify, but I mean, it's not a matter of color. Everybody wants to hire diverse people, but we can't because they're not good enough. It was a skill issue. And somebody had the idea to close the curtains on the stage. So they closed the curtains on the stage and told everyone to wear sneakers, and they weren't allowed to speak. They had somebody backstage that gave a number. It was somebody different. So somebody backstage would go, number 1, number 2, so that the people, and immediately they diversified their entire orchestra. And they did it because what ended up happening was they had things like, and it wasn't like what you would think would happen. And one of the cases they were saying was their tuba player, a huge tuba, was this 4'7" Asian woman who was phenomenal on the tuba. But because she was tiny and little, their preconceived notions was she couldn't carry the instrument. It was too big of an instrument. And so they had this preconceived notion that she wasn't good enough to play it. It had nothing to do with gender or race in that instance. It was a complete bias against her size. And so he was saying that we're loaded with things like this. And he makes tons of cases in this book. And it completely revolutionized the way I think of things. And it revolutionized how I try to work with people. And I try very hard not to make a preconceived notion on people. Of course, obviously, I give myself slack because always things that you never know. I mean, like, we try, right? But it's a great book. Anyway, I'm sorry, geeking out over the book. One of my favorite things to talk about, and you guys probably know this, because I love the way the mind works, good and bad. I'm fascinated by all of that. So, anyway, back to Mayrel, because she's trying to fly it in, get the ship in, get it out of hyperspace at this point in time is what we're after. So yeah, everything he wrote, Tipping Point, the Blink, there's a couple of books he's written. Fascinating, entirely fascinating theses that he's making. The concepts, the ideas, what he's really after. Right? This is a book club with Guy. My apologies. But it's like very important. I love this stuff. I have a few books that are so close to my heart. So, okay, one of the other things is that I'm going to bring up her lower eyelid. So we can bring up bottom eyelids. I don't think she needs her top eyelids to be down, but I think her top eyelids need to be up, right? Because she's looking up. The only problem with using the maquettes with an eye target is the actual movement of the eyes have the morphs locked in. So we'll have to modify this when we get there too. but we're going to get really intensely close here because we want to. The other problem with maquettes, of course, is that we are much more intensely close to people in, I can back off just because we're much more intensely close to characters in comics than we are in real life, and the maquettes make them look real a little bit, and so it's really uncomfortable to get close to them. And I've made that mistake a number of times. This is 1601, so you are 1601. And we've got really close on her eye here, which I will only do this render for benefit of making sure that we've got her eyes. So I built Mayrel with a little bit of a bump on her nose. She's got a little bit of that Greek, just a little bit of that Mediterranean Greek nose. And it's part of why I keep rendering her in maquettes, is because I want to make absolutely sure that I hold that. 1, 2, 3. So this is 3. All right. We're looking forward to we're putting her, and so this is crossing the center line, so I'm not going to do it that way. Crossing the center line is where you have a character going blah 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 blah, and then you cut to this click 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 click. That crosses the center line and gets people confused. So my sketch is wrong. I have her crossing the center line there, and I really shouldn't. But I'm going to work on that in a second here. We're going to get in closer like this and do this. We need to open her mouth, but we're going to use the open lips function, so she will end up doing gritting teeth. We want gritting teeth. All right, so we're going to close her mouth down because she's gritting her teeth. We're moving in. A lot of this I need to screen what is open? You close. So I'm going to figure out which one it is that it's not frown, is it? I think it's frown. No, that's that. You know what? I'm going to make her smile-ish. I'll give her a mouth, the mouth smile thing, because at least it'll. And then I'll just bring down the depressors. Right? There's always this thing, and this is a game that Can and I play from time to time. I remember to call him Can. The game of, what actor, actress would you like to have your character be portrayed by? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's a lot going on here. This is frame 6. And then this is easy because we just need one of these guys right here. On our secondary console. Let's render that just quickly. Did we skip that middle panel? All right, because there's 6, 7, and then 8. All right, so this is the gauge that's going and like getting down closer and closer and closer to 0. That's what she's counting down on. So then, bam, the ship comes out of in space. All right. So we need to do one last thing, but since it's going to mess up the maquette, I wanted to go ahead and do it last. And that is, it's not going to mess up the maquette, it's going to mess up the stage. So, grabbing her, we're going to throw that down like so. Pull back like this. Control columns come out, and now that I have fixed them properly, they rotate. Bring control columns out, and then rotate down, so, and bring them down. So, get a close up of this here. Just hold them back to rotate them, indicate something is going on. Actually, we'll get a close up, but I want to be at somewhat the same angle as I had, because you want to be able to see in your head what she's done. She's taken the columns and rotated them, pulled them back. So we'll render that out. Oh, what frame is this? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. All right. Now we've completed this page. We'll go ahead and go through here. We'll open. We'll take frame 1. All right. Copy. And here at frame 1, paste. And shrink it down to the correct size. So I liked where it was as it was, so I didn't mess with it too much. I have to make it slightly larger, just a little larger. There we go. Click, 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 click. Because all you really need to know in here, just despite what is being said, all you need to know is she's got a time hack she's hacking down. So she says, it'll be rough, but I can do this. I'll fly it in manually. And, and then the captain says, we were buttoned up, so it's okay. And she goes, aye, sir, 140 light hours out in the blender. And that's, doesn't matter what you're listening to, the whole thing is that, then she goes, chack, clack, and pulls the control columns out. And then she says, 50 light hours out. 2 minutes to subliminal. 3, 2, 1, and then wham, they're out. Here we go. This one. This one's just a close-up of her eyes so that we can really show that she's intense here. I will change the nature of this as we get there. It doesn't really matter. Much more intense look. I just want to make sure I've got her nose properly represented. Since she has a very specific nose. Yeah. Right? So they can do the little sound effect of ka-chak. I keep switching back here like there's something there. I don't know. Right? Sometimes the maquettes fail me. That's all right. I just need the basic outline of this. I have to be careful because I've got safe right there. So safe being the safe line for which to... I keep doing that like there's something there. There isn't. I have them rendered. They're all rendered out. It's fine. This panel here we can't. New. Off. Paste. See you later. Thanks, Joan. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. All right. And actually, looking at this, I kind of like the idea of us going ahead and just finishing up this page. It's in. We might as well do it. So let's go ahead and put the raster in on this. Putting the white layer underneath. You're like, but I'm still here. Yes. I'm going to do a new layer, vector layer. And on top of this, why do we have control over the vector layer? Don't need that. Not monochrome. We've had this problem before. There we go. We'll go here. That's right. This is how we made this complicated for ourselves and made me irritated and annoyed. Okay, on this one, again, new raster layer to go underneath it. And new vector layer that we're going to have to change to gray. It's all right. Which layer should I highlight? Is that you? Yeah, it is. Okay, well, that's fine. New raster layer to go underneath. And a new vector layer that we're going to switch to gray. That's already set. New raster layer underneath. And a new gray. Right. Same thing here. We'll do a new raster layer to go underneath. And a new vector layer that goes up top, which is set for gray. And I may come up with a different battle plan for this. We'll see. Well, you know, I'm plugging away at work too, so there's that. What it's worth. We'll go here, same thing. Why these aren't in order they're supposed to be in? That's one, that's two. This one is this one's complete, yes. Yeah. And this guy. He doesn't need that. He needs that, but he doesn't need that. Okay. We got to deal with that. All right. I know. You see how all of these are now out of spot here. That one's correct. That one's correct. That one's not correct at all. It should be actually the last. What I'm trying to figure out is that one's fine. Hey, whatever. I don't know where the other panel there is. This my other panel? No, that's panel 1. It should be. And panel 2, then panel 3, then panel 4. Panel 5 is on the floor there, so that's fine. 6, and then the last panel, but I don't know where this guy is. Dang it, people. Why is he in a different page? Now he's in the right spot. I don't know what that's all about. Okay. That was weird. Okay, let's get in here and let's just do this work. I mean, like I said, this page is already done, so we might as well just go ahead and do it. So the maquette won't do eyebrows like I really feel like they should be done. Like, I really feel like she is stressed out, right? So I will do all of the correct points across her eyes there, but shouldn't be. No, it's the correct layer. But thank you for the layer check. She comes across very Egyptian almost. In my head, when I see her as very Egyptian. Her eyes are a shocking green. And she got that little bump on her nose, and a little bump on her nose reminds me of just like Mediterranean, North African, that sort of very lovely and exotic look. They went to battle stations, so she's going to have to be sealed up too. She's not. Although that would be an interesting question. Would she have sealed up? I mean, it only takes a second, so I guess she would have. Can't imagine her not sealing up. That seems like a bad. I mean, they'd be like, but Captain put the ship to battle stations, so. Skipper put the ship to battle stations, that means that she would be sealed up. Oh, my connection's dropping, guys. Having internet dropouts. So, bear with me. The bear we have chosen today is a polar bear. So polar bear with me. The internet's dropping out, as you might imagine, causing some minor issues here. And she is a lieutenant junior grade, which puts her way down on the totem pole. I have to be very careful around here because I'm going to keep using this. I want to use the 3D model of this of the control console because the console is here. So we want to use the control console's 3D model. So I'm going to be very, very careful here. Okay, so I've sealed up that area. And when we come back through on this, okay. She's sealed up, so we're going to lock the lights in here on this. Let's go ahead and real quickly clear that line and that line and that line because we don't need them. We do need that line and this line. We need this to be like this because she's tightened up. Everything's like clank, which means that we probably ought to also do this, indicate that her stasis field is on. Ooh, this. Alright, we're going to fluff up her hair. Out through here. Like this. And then moving, since this character is effectively Ward from Tamerlane, Ward had these two hairs that just went like this in front of her, which I always thought was kind of an interesting thing, but you can always tell who it is because of that. And of course, all of this is about identifying your characters and making them easy to see and identify. So we want to make sure she's got those little identifying marks. I'm also going to come along here. We're going to do this. Do this. Do this. And what we're doing is I'm going outside of the frame and sealing up all of these pieces off frame so that when we fill, when we Uncle Fill this, which we're going to do, we can easily do that. And that way, all we have to do when we come in here and do this is just take a selection tool and do that. And that'll get everything except for the maquette. We can go here and then hit delete. And when we do, that works. We can then bring this back up to 100% like so. And the frame is done. Right? So it makes it easy peasy. So we'll go down to the next layer, or next frame, which should be you, but you're already done. So it's the next frame's here. I'm going to go here, tap into the correct layer so that, we don't have the wrong layer problem. It never happened here. Okay, when you really furrow your brow, it wrinkles up right here. So I'm going to go on ahead and do that. That's really kind of what I want to show here, is we have a lot of stress going on right here in the brow, because she's really wrinkling that brow up, and bring that eyebrow all the way in like so. So we've got it here, and I'm actually going to bring it down even lower, because this is a comic and we go even further than the real beast would ever go. All right. So we're going to come in here like so. We're going to give her eye like this. We're going to kind of go through like this. Right, so this is where her eye is in this manner, like so. Right, just she's looking this way. Her eyes are green, and they're a very shocking green. Okay, and we're close enough to her eye now that we can actually see this part, which is called the, it's not an epicanthic fold because she doesn't have that, because she's Mediterranean. But you can see now that we've scrunched everything up here, you can really see the intensity of her eyes right there. It's very intense. She's really, really intense here. So I'm bringing that in, really focusing in on her eye. Using the maquettes means that this is already pre-started in a very easy way. I don't have to worry about it. I'm going to give her two little hair things that are going like this. Really bring that out as far as intensity. I'm going to bring this up like so. You know what? I don't need... Yes, I do. Because I'm going to do something else. Am I going to do something else underneath this? This is the decision-making point. You know what? I'm going to seal it just in case. In case I do something else here. We're going to seal it up. Because if we do something else, we'll have to come up with a different plan for this. But all I really need from this frame is this piece right here. So we're going ahead and cut that out of this, because this will give me the ability. I need to, and I don't need that at all. And then all I have to do is go into the eraser mode, and just in case something weird's happening here, I'm going to go on ahead and just do the vector eraser mode and just get rid of this piece right here, so that way, if I add something underneath it as far as some kind of graphic or something like that in a minute, we easily can. So it's interesting that only like a few lines, but that's such an intense panel, right? And only a handful of lines. So go to the next panel. We only have to put in her hands being pulled back. So she's gonna, we're doing clack, clack. She's pulled it back. So I want to give some indication of that. So we're going to give some motion on this as well. So coming in here, we've got to make sure we have the stress of her hands. So we're going to make sure we do that. And put in this, which is the control bar, because she's really pulling on it. So I want to make sure I've got very stressed, heavy lines. We're coming in here and we're just, she is super Yeah, she's pulling that back, right? I'm going to give then, of course, the emergency lights are on for this one. Give this. And remember that nothing else outside of this is going to be visible. So we want to make sure that we have sealed up under here, because this is going to all be, this is her leg under here. So this is part of the sealed up section down here. We're going to open this up here because there's nothing up there to see, right? So lots of stress here. We're going to go wham, 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 right? Wham, wham. So she's really pulling it like so, and spinning them, clack, right? So that's what we're doing here. We're going to have 2 sound effects in here for this when we get to this stage. So pull. There is a small amount of this guy there, so I'm just going to draw it in. We don't need to worry about it. There we go. Pull this around. What we're doing here is just connecting up, carefully connecting up all of these pieces like so. I'm going to give some stress marks here on her fingers because she's pulling, and I really want to have that feel, right? The circles indicate that we are going clack and pulling at the same time because I want to give that feel that she's moving this column. I'm also going to do this. I'm just going to give an outside edge to this, which I will actually, you know what, we'll do that after we flatten this layer out because that'll give us it'll look cleaner. So come over here. And do this. Okay, like that. And knowing that this is all one sort of outside unit like this, we're going to do this, this, and across her abdomen. Okay. Undo, scrolling up, coming across her abdomen and then up, like so. There we go. Now, in theory, we've gotten that sealed up. Let's take a look. Bring this up 100%. That's what we've got. There we go. Just like that. Right? So now it looks like she's got the control columns. She clacks in this way and pulls them back. All right, now the ship does its thing. And once again, we're going to be super stressful down here. So I'm going to move into this layer. Right, we're once again, I want to make sure that I'm starting with the thing that I want to remember. I really want to remember that we have stressed her eyebrows out. So they're very, very deep cut eyebrows, like so. So her eyebrows are going to be down. And the reason I want to do that is because this is where I start with. She's very intense in this moment. That's why I can't trust the maquette 100% to do everything. I can trust it to get me these guys lined up correctly in this angle, because this is kind of a weird angle. I trust to get her hair kind of going the right way too. But I really want to make sure that we are intense right here. So, go in here, and remember what I said, I couldn't get her mouth to be depressor enough. I couldn't get the depressors to go down. So we're going to fix that here. Damn it, I did it again. There we go. And remember, she's buttoned up for this. I have to do that. Dang it. There we go. Depressors, by the way, depressors are the muscles right here. And when you grimace like this, those depressors still pull back, but they pull down. Instead of smiling, which gives you a different kind of effect. But it's a very subtle effect. But when you're dealing with maquettes, the maquettes actually give a lot of detail to these things. So you have to actually be careful. Damn it. There is a thing that's going on with Clip Studio Paint where it has an area on the edge, close to the edge here, where I can draw, but I can't draw inside that frame. I don't know what the story is, but there's a certain area where I cannot draw, and it's remarkably frustrating. All right. And I think it has something to do with my rulers, but I'm not sure. But what it means is I have to be careful how I get in here and draw around the edges. All right. Let's get in and do the eye. The thing about these eyes is the maquette knows what it wants to say she's doing, she's looking at, but it looks funny. This looks wrong. So I kind of want to bring this eye in like so, and then level that pupil out because it wants to say it's going a certain direction. It wants to say it's doing a certain thing. And this is where the maquette is so awesome, because now I can get around this corner correctly, which is hard to do. but it looks better this way. Maybe, I'm not sure what causes it, but there's an edge rim around everything where I cannot draw, which makes it very difficult to do. This is going to be hard for me to do and hard for me to see. Yeah, see, that's the problem. It leaked somewhere. So it's leaking here. So we'll deselect, because that obviously didn't draw. I drew it, but it was too close to the edge, so it didn't draw. It's not drawing. There it is. And you can see it's range based in a way too, because that was here. It can draw here just fine when we're this close. And that's part of the other frustrations, of course, is that it'll draw it. But it only draws it which is, of course, like, that's useless. There we go. Now it should be sealed. It's not. Okay, where is it leaking? Up there at the top of the hair. Okay. So, and again, we come up here. Nope, it didn't do it. Zoom in for it to work. It's got to be a bug, because this is really weirdly, I don't know. There. It missed even a part of that. You can see part of it down here isn't right either. And didn't do that part either. Weird. Either way, I can just delete that. It won't be a problem, but if I wanted to do anything in the background, I'm going to now wait until after we've stresses here. This isn't what goes after. Okay, real quickly, I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to adjust. Simplify the vector line. We're going to simplify the vector line. I can adjust it. There we go. And that's how you fix that real quickly so that it works and it's solid. And then I'll go back in and do the same thing with everything else. Indicate you're shaking a little bit here. Yep, it's super shaky. But right. Maybe we'll even put some on it or not. She's sweating it a little. And getting intense up here, right? So there we go. It's getting super intense. There we go. And I'm imagining the sound of, this ship is, she's like shaking, kind of getting that kind of going in here. Maybe we even should shake a little on this panel as well. Give just a little bit of a feel. We got that same thing kind of going, where it's, damn it, it's shaking. Panel, she's shaking a little there. Just kind of give the effect that intensity is going on, right? Everything's starting to shake. And these things are starting to kind of be. Oh, that's the other thing. She's wearing her system, her life support system's online here. So let's get onto this layer and put in that life support system. Okay, last panel, and this page is out. Okay. This panel only needs an overlay on it, because what we're going to do is indicate here, the arrow is here. On the speedometer. I'm just straightening up some of these lines. We don't have a book done, but we have a page done. I mean, we're just getting up to, we finally are adding in all of the random pages of the pilot house. But this page will be clear. Don't panic yet. We're not ready to panic yet. These guys. White. There. Now this page is done, and the page next to it is done. And the only thing I need to do here is tonal correction, hue saturation, a little, turn the saturation all the way down, just to make sure it's not playing any games with. Or maybe I can be a little bit brighter so you can see that it's clearly this control panel we're looking at there, and that light's on. This is like turning on random lights. Bing, 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 bing. All right, done. That page is complete. And you know what? We can actually probably complete this set of pages too. There's only 2 on here, right? And we won't be able to complete the parts with a sergeant until we get to that stage, but that's all right. Work. Set the gray here. Right. Let's see if you can get the layer and put it up there and go there now. Like so. You might as well just do this and just get these guys done. Together done. Alright, so we got work. And we need to set to gray. We'll go here. We'll do this. We're gonna go get these done here since we're up and close. Okay, so we're in panic mode. So we're gonna come on here. All right, I'm getting tired of this song. The subtitling of my show just said scoffs. Yeah, maybe so. Although I recommended a show on Kevin Music, and they still like claimed it was their copyrighted music. I don't know. I feel like these are the regulators. Because they punted it back to the copyright owners to listen to my case. And of course, they're not going to listen to my case. They're just going to say that I stole the music anyway. And so I feel like it doesn't matter what we do, we're going to end up getting kicked off of Facebook because somebody has decided to use the system against us. Which, you know, that's the thing. We can't figure out what we did wrong or who we made mad to not on to us. But we did. So that's we'll figure it out. And who knows, maybe we didn't do anything. It's just a bunch of kids having fun and thinking this is a great thing to do, and getting a power trip over the fact that they can control web pages. But it's still kind of irritating me and making me mad, because I worked pretty hard at this to get this here, and even though we've got no real viewers except for 3, it's not like we don't have 1,000 million viewers, which is another reason why I'm confused as to why we got targeted at all. We only have 3 or 4 permanent viewers ever, so it's not like we're big. We don't make a lot of money off of this, nor do we really want to. The only reason we're really streaming at all is because drawing is a remarkably solo, solitary, quiet thing, and I am not a solo, solitary, quiet guy. So this works really well for me because I am a extrovert, and I like to be with people, and I like hanging around people, and so being an artist was sort of if I was so inclined, I would say it was God laughing at me, because it's solo and quiet, and you count as 2 people. 2 people. Well, no, you count as 2 people because you're always on the Twitch and the Facebook side. Right. So I am 2 times a Mariah, though. That is a thing. We were just discussing that. I'm literally exactly twice her weight. And she is exactly twice the kid's weight, which makes me 4 times the kid. Which, kind of a thing. Also, the wife has taken it upon herself, and I have agreed with this quite wholeheartedly, to put a kibosh on weight gain for me. So she's going to start really logging the foods, and she's putting a lot of effort into this, which makes me extraordinarily happy. Her buy-in makes it much harder for me to cheat and screw around and mess up my diet and stuff. So that's the news from this front. Of course, I'm also back onto intermittent fasting, which I had given up on for a while there because it was annoying me, and I liked breakfast. But I'm back on that train at the moment, so we'll have to see how well that works. I'm going to put her ponytail outside of her helmet. And the thought process being that it wouldn't matter. Her helmet is her hair. If an emergency occurs, her hair just gets zotched. Right. So, same problem we've got going before, except this one, the maquettes are not quite as dramatic as I want them to be, right? She's honest. I did it right. I did everything right. So I want to put her eyebrows up like this, much more than the maquette's eyebrows went. So I'm going to do that. She's pleading her case, although she's just getting razzed by the captain, so she's actually not she's not busted. But she is the newbie. She is Lieutenant Junior grade. So she is definitely the newbie, and I'm going to make her eye very small like this so that she looks like she's a lot more panicked. Do that, same thing. Right, I'm going to come in here, do a bump like so. Right, good. She's a lot more panicked here. Right, that's what we want. See, I have that problem too. Was with my dad gained a lot of weight right at the end. Oh my goodness! Speaking of things, I was sitting for too long. So. Right at the end there, he was gaining a lot of weight. And he would do the same thing. You got to lose weight, son. I'm like, really? Because, like, I hate to say this, Dad, but all of our meals are, like, always out somewhere and doing something. And yeah, I mean, really, the truth was, he was at the end of his life, and it was okay for him to. I mean, what was it going to hurt? Right? I mean, legitimately, what was it going to hurt? To the other side. That you can see how ahead that. 100%. There we go. So looks like we're connecting again. Connecting through. We're doing I don't know how bad my connection issues are, but they're back into yellow again. And so there's that. And here. And the same thing, we've got kind of a, we're going to do kind of the same kind of widget over here. She's panicked, right? It's like we're getting the, sounds like you screwed up over here, har, 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 right? And she's doing the I didn't screw up. Honest, I double checked everything. I looked over everything. I checked all my numbers. I checked everything. Da, 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 da. And then that's when. Right, there's a lot of I promise, Captain, I did it right sort of things going on here. Again, she's kind of pleading her case here, so we kind of want to the funny part about this is the time that it takes to draw these characters and the pictures involved means that we spend an awful lot of time on one frame, and the intensity of how and the intensity of this. Right, so it's a lot of time spent on here. So for those of you who are wondering about the tattoo on Mayrell's face, it represents her life story, because these are story people. They believe very strongly in the story and the power of the story. And so it's her life story. Triangles indicate traumas, and circles indicate story points, things that you have done. Yeah, you're right. You're not wrong there. I don't know where I'll fit it in, but you're right. We've given her a lot of grief on this one. We've got to make sure that we seal it up so that the captain's like, we've got you. It's all right. No need to be concerned, Lieutenant. I just was messing with you because it was funny. I'm going to have to make sure that happens. I don't know where, but I'm going to have to make sure that happens. Especially since we are going to start seeing discrimination against Mayrell, and we want to make sure that we are clear that Chang has absolutely none of that crap. She's not playing that crap. She's not doing that crap. She's not messing with it. She's got better things to do with her life than to worry about some political mumbo jumbo that occurred years before she was born, sort of thing. So you are spot on, my friend. We've got to figure out how to do that and make sure that we do that correctly. Right, exactly. Maybe we need to do it here-ish somehow. Like, I'm just messing with you, Lieutenant. You know, what do you think? Because really what we did was we subtly have it in this panel right here, because Gunny says, hey, she's not wrong. I can see that something's wrong with the beacon. And this is where she says, beacons often go bad in the system. So maybe here, all jokes aside, Lieutenant, what do you think's going on? You know what I mean? Like that. So something like, I'm just busting your chops because it's a thing. Yeah, you may be right. It's got to be right here. It's kind of like having an instant online editor with you guys. It's great. And by you guys, I mean Brent. So we'll go ahead and put in the subtle. I have an emergency shield on. Because we don't need this at all, right? Because there's nothing, there's no background to save, so we're just going to kill that. In fact, I don't think we need this either, because that's just going to be solid the way it is. And the good news is, even with this, here's a great example of us doing some planning ahead with the maquettes. Look how very different those two women look. They don't look the same. And they're faced the same direction, which is normally something in a comic book you'd want to avoid. You'd want to stay away from them both being faced the same direction, because then it's hard to read it. But in this instance, it is clear Chang doesn't look anything like Mayrel. And so this is perfect. And I will add to this frame, we'll just put it on a separate field here. So I'll just add a raster layer and say, something. We'll put in something here. So that I can remember they look the same to you. Here. Right. So I'll remember that we need to come in here and do that edit when we come in to put text in. We're going to be putting text in at some point here relatively soon. So all jokes aside, we'll come up with it. Anyway. All right. Another page down, man. We've got to put in Sergeant the Gunny, who doesn't look the same to you. We'll put the Gunny in. And then once we do, we'll be solid. So we did last night's page 2, so we can do that one real quick. Going ahead and button this page up. So I'll grab that panel first. Do the same way we usually do. New raster layer underneath it. And new gray layer above. Trust it, okay? Or I got your back or something. You're right. There's when we come back to that, remind me of that's what we're after in that, because you'll be here. Odds are good you'll be here whenever we get to that point. So let's just make sure that we cover that. You same thing. We're gonna add a raster underneath, and we'll add a vector on top. Coming in here, we'll grab that. It goes underneath it. Duplicate the layer, put it on top. So right. Well, we are getting that Gunny is not messing with her. We do get that. I mean, Gunny is backing her up. But I mean, we have to remember a couple of things. For one, you really pretty much only have one reason why you'd transfer frames and all of the things that she's talking about. When she talks about jumping point care translations and dropping off a Minkowski train, what she means is there are waves that come from a planet and gravity waves that come out, and you travel inside those waves. So what she's saying is when she looks at her instrument, she's over 1 or maybe even over 5. The only way that would ever happen is something ridiculous or bizarre, like, the planet's not there, which we kind of have to express a little bit of that too. So there has to be either she made a mistake in her mathematics or the planet's not there. So part of this is, it's a newbie mistake to jump point care translations. It bumped the ship. Everybody fell out of their chairs. Everybody's kind of like grumpy. We had to set for general quarters, but you know what? A little mistake for a helmsman. So like not a major problem, but I kind of want to get that feel right there in that scene that it's a, hey, you made a newbie mistake. Ha ha ha. We're all kind of bumping you for the newbie mistake. Okay, you roughed up some people. Whatever, we'll get over it, right? And I kind of want to get that feel there of that, and then all of a sudden the gun is like, no, this isn't right. We don't have the beacon, we don't have the planet coming off the right. We're jumping translations, and I checked her math. So like he's kind of doing it. You can say it's either pilot or the planet's not here. I've checked and ruled out pilot, which is what I kind of want to get to, is then it's like, okay, but that means things happen, like the planet's not there. You know what I mean? Like, there's going to be sort of a thing like that. It's kind of like you were driving along, and all of a sudden, as you're driving, the captain who's in a box in the back seat of the car, all of a sudden you're on rough road and gravel and everything. You're going to immediately assume that somebody drove off the right side of the highway. But if the person's like, well, either we drove off the right side of the highway or there's no highway here. Right, exactly. It's that we've got to make sure there is a spot for that. There's a spot for that 2 pages down. There's that one panel where she's like, I'm going to have to go in manually. And the captain can say, hey, look, everything is good here. We did fine. I'm a little concerned too. I think something weird is happening as well. Something like that. So she can back it up. But we do have to start with, oh, you made a newbie mistake, ha ha ha. Because that really would be the way that she would think it right off the bat. because it's either you drove off the side of the road or there's no highway. And why would there be no highway? And there's no highway. That's not the option you think of if you get the, and then you're running off the road and you're running over tumbleweeds and things like that. You're like, dude, what'd you do? So her coffee did spill though. Her coffee tumbler goes flying. And we did set up right here in this panel that Moment is not an easy system to fly into. So it's entirely plausible that she just screwed it up. You know what I mean? Like, it could have happened. It's not an easy system. Nobody likes it. Nobody likes flying into Moment. It's not a... So, I don't know. I mean, I'm with you. I'm totally with you. We're just going to have to be sure to word it correctly. This is the one we're going to have to work on a little. Because this poor guy here is like, going to need to be like cut through here, work like so, because we need to be able to get on top there. And everything else is fine on this, except then we have to do this. So, yeah, you weren't wrong. We will have to definitely solidify it. We just need to make sure that we are covering all of our bases there. So, okay. Make sure you're set properly. I don't think I need to worry about you at all. Make sure you're set properly, because you're not. Make sure you're set to gray. Make sure you're set to gray. Make sure we set properly. Oh man, we've only got 4 minutes left. Crap. That would have been awesome to have finished 3 pages. Right? Like 3 pages in a show, including pre-posing, would have been kick butt. But I think we're going to have to put this guy off till tonight, and I'll come in tonight. I might be late tonight, depending. I'm going to have James and my buddy James over, James and Anna, and we're going to probably watch some Strange New Worlds. And so I've got to get them indoctrinated into Strange New Worlds. It will only be the 6th or 7th time I've watched episode 1. I do. And I this afternoon I'm going out with my nibbling, and we're going to take them and the kiddo, and we got Geek Tank at 9. Crap. Okay, well then I'll definitely be here at 10 o'clock because we got Geek Tank at 9. So you're right. There's no 2 ends about this. We're going to end up having to be here at 9. So it'll be fine. So tonight, we'll do this page tonight. I'll roll off some other pages too while we're at it. We'll be able to get to this point where everything is cool and all will be awesome. But that's okay. We're doing awesome. Look at us kicking butt. Now that we've set up, and I do like the new maquettes with they're much nicer and they bend better. They bend a whole lot better than they did before. So we're gonna have to. I'm actually not as unhappy with them. We do have to do a modified version of a couple of other things. Like we'll have to do the same thing to the men's uniforms, but I'm not going to do that yet because we don't have any males until later. We have males later in the second half of this comic, but we don't in the first half. And at the rate we're going, we should be able to clear up the first 16 pages should be done relatively soon, which will give us at least a proof of concept that there's a first 16 pages. It'll also kind of give us a good idea of what we're looking at for the second 16 pages and how fast we can rattle it out. I've been talking to Can a little bit, and I think it'd be fun to have Can and I do a 1-to-1 page test to see how long it takes to get a 1 page rolled through, from my ground level of posing the maquettes, setting up the page, rendering everything, bringing it in, inking it, and rolling it out to the point where he can do the same thing where he does a page standard. He does a phenomenally fast speed. His speed is so freaking fast that if I can just get close to his speed, I'll call it a victory. So I'm not trying to beat him. I just want to get close to the speed he's at. He can do a page in an hour or so, and that is one metric can right there. That's a metric can. But if we can get to that relative speed where we're kind of at that speed and kind of rolling along at a good clip, I'll call that a win. So that's all right. So tonight we'll roll in on this page. We'll get a few more pages rolled through. It doesn't take long once we've got the maquettes all set up. The only thing I think I'm worried about is I'm going to have to go ahead and at least one of these needs to be inside the actual pilot house set, because we need to see that, relatively speaking, Gunny is behind Meryl in the seat behind her in the flight communications seat, which is directly behind her. So we need to kind of have that. So I'm going to have some kind of scene where that happens. So we'll come up with that. So there we go, guys. It's 11 o'clock. I'm out. Thanks for joining me, Brent. Thanks for joining me, Joan. We will see you tonight. Talk to you later. Bye.